And then, of course, the mind compares and says, well, that hasn't happened to me, therefore I'm exempt from it. Yeah? It's all it's looking for is to be unique. So it will try to exempt itself from it. And then in that position, then it has to be something you get. Because obviously you don't have it. Yeah? And then the getting, what does that do? That's seeking. Yeah? Yeah? So the seeking gets generated, and then the seeker appears quite a lot. And now you're in the hamster wheel. Yeah? You think it's a noble 8,000-year-old tradition hamster wheel, but it's the hamster wheel. And if you see a hamster wheel, what's powering the wheel is the hamster. It's not the wheel. It's powering it, well, voila. We're the source of power. Yeah, I know, that's why I never talk about events, because it can take your eye off of the ball now, which is the event. Yeah.
Paul, could you give me a few examples of how your mind kind of tried to take advantage? And you were saying in the earlier years, when it kind of first started, how it maybe tried to take advantage of understanding and knowledge.
The first thing it found a gold mine in was not taking responsibility for things. So I always use the example. I remember I was living in Australia. We had a house, my girlfriend and I, and she'd come home and she had asked me to do something that day, and I didn't do it. And then she said, "Why didn't you do it?" I said, "Well, there's no Paul to do it. There's no Paul." And she'd say, "Screw you, he didn't do the dishes." So I try to use it in a way that way.
I got you.
Yeah, that was usually the thing, like trying to sort of evade situations. There is no Paul. And also to evade the real rich meaning that was being given to feelings and stuff. Yeah? I try to use it like a drug, to avoid shit. That's what I do. That's what the mind's always trying to do, is escape. So whatever it comes in contact with, it sees it as a vehicle of escape, and it saw non-duality's concepts as another vehicle. But what's beautiful about the message behind the message in non-duality is it's nothing. And it's hard to make it something, You can try, it's like painting like the legs on a snake, You can try, but basically it's stubbornly nothing. And if the grace is there, it's going to become apparent, that it's going to not move under your influence. There's more, the best way is submission, in a sense, surrender or whatever, That's my thing. So that's what I saw a lot of. I was looking at it as a way of seeing that I wasn't the doer, trying to get out of the guilt from the things I thought I did. Yeah? But you can't use it that way. Or it didn't work for me. It had to grow and get a little more weight and timber for it to have, and then as a byproduct that started to occur, being released from the guilt and shame of past events, But not when I was trying to use it to produce that.
Because like your experience was that eventually you weren't the doer, and it was like beforehand you were still thinking that you were the doer.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was trying to use the idea of non-doing.
Yeah.
I was doing there. Yeah, that's the weird thing, the Chinese thumb puzzle, because self can't get out of self. So, so self can disguise, like by not being a self is another form of getting out of self. Yeah. And I saw that fail, so then that led me to download that. The real relief is that you never were in it. Yeah? I was never in a self. So therefore, the belief of getting out of it, being construed at another level as being more in it, was dismissed. I never entered in it to need to get out of it. That worked. That extinguished the dual flame of the dualistic expression of close and far, connected and disconnected, have it, lost it, All of that got extinguished by that for me. I realized like the best way to get out of a place that's imaginary is to realize it's imaginary. That's what dawned. It happened. Because it happened, and then it put the words together that way. And that worked. I swear, that works. And I share it with people because it works. Because the thing is, it's very difficult to get out of the dualistic construct or the interpretation, yes? So if you feel you're in something, of course there's a drive to get out of it. But then there's all the time there's the possibility that you'll be in it somehow again, yeah? You can't escape the meaning of reality to both those polarities, yeah? If you enter one, the other one's going to seem real, and then when the other is real, that other one will seem real, yeah? So if you believe you achieve something, you can also believe you'll lose it if you don't do the stuff that you believe you did to achieve it, yeah? So it all becomes about you. It's all in the realm of selfing. You're not out of anything, and because you have never been in it, yeah? That's why it's weird. In a way, you feel gypped because you don't get the experience of being out of anything. You get the state of never being in it. It's not a rush, in a way. It's not like a drug. Because sometimes for me, as an addict, spirituality was like a drug. I was just shooting up spirituality, you know, going into these states, this and that. But this is a state. It's not an experience. If you want to have an experience of being out of self, then live the experience of being in self. And then you'll have peak moments where you'll have a great experience of being out of self. But the basics, you'll go back into self, yeah? This idea. But this is not an experience. You've never been in self, so that joyous experience of being out of self is removed. Yeah? It's sort of like, you're not going to experience surrender. Like, surrender is a very high experience in the recovery world, yeah? But what is needed to surrender is to believe you're in control. So sometimes it's like in AA, a lot of people, they have this idea, they've surrendered. See, there's a statement saying, turn your will and your life over to the care of a higher power, of your own understanding of it, yeah? So people say they surrendered, but then they take it back. This is their experience. Yeah? And then shit hits the fan, and then they try to surrender it again as fast as possible. Only to, when something important occurs, I'm taking it back, like meeting a guy or a woman or whatever, you know, body image or something. Yes? So it's sort of a deal that it made with itself. Yeah? The self is playing the bigger god, and then it has made up this little god that it's surrendering to, like a bully would give a little kid in the playground, let's say a bag of candy. Hold this. And then there's the little kid, but then anytime the big kid wanted it, give me those candy, yeah? Which is the God? The God of your understanding, or the God that gave it the understanding, yeah? Of surrendering, taking it back. And it was really a lot of fun when you surrendered. I mean, it's like a really cool thing. It's like that being on the cliff and the wind blowing through your hair, and it's been you've gone through the dark night of the soul, and then, oh, you know, your ex-girlfriends are sitting there wishing you the best, or maybe not, you know, and then you let go, and it's fucking great. That's gone. I never have an experience like that, ever. Yeah? But I would say being in the state of surrendered is so much more valuable because it's influencing every experience that I'm going through. Every experience is imprinted with the surrendered state. Yeah? It's a much better deal to give up that boredom that looks exciting, you know, of taking it back and then giving it, yes, God, have my relationships, yes. Make sure it looks a certain way, you know, like that, you know what I mean? It's exciting in a way. Oh, what's going to come my way now that I've surrendered? You know, it's gone. The state is like a beautiful, but endless. Endless. It's like all your note playing have caught the baseline of the whole event. And just keeping that baseline going in all the activities, yeah? There's and you're attuned to it, yes? Bing! And you're always vibrating. Bing! A lot of other vibrations occur, but that's the baseline. Underneath everything. Underneath, around, in and out of everything. And you're attuned to it. You have it, it's plugged in, let's say. And you've recognized its primary position. And you honor it. And then you entertain it. So whatever's going on, he can hear that note in it. Yeah? And you're tuned to it. And it keeps you on the straight and narrow in a way. It keeps you ever-presently alert with no effort. Because you're hearing it in everything. It's always Om. It's always the one note of all the notes that are played. Sometimes there's a cacophony going on, but there's a discernment there. It's there. It's always there. Nothing else would be appearing. It's like the note of silence. All sound comes from silence, yeah? Well, the first note is silence. Everything else is being played in and around that silence, yeah? Well, you're attuned to the silence more, and you can respond to the notes. The notes are the dance, but the silence is the rest, yeah? That's where you rest. It's pretty cool. You could no way you could ever find it, because you wouldn't know where to look. Because you're actually a discordant note. Selfing is a very agitated note. And if it ran into the big note, it would still take itself to be more supreme. And it wouldn't blend into that big note. It would have to be contrary to it to feel unique, yeah? But the surrender and stuff allows you to just submit to that. Giving up the ghost, you know? Maybe young people it's more difficult because they still have a lot of hope, you know? It's wonderful when younger people are motivated. But some people go through the great education of disillusionment. They've followed many of the formulas selfing has provided to lead to happiness, and it hasn't really worked well. So maybe they're more apt to give up the ghost by then. Yeah, I don't know. I find it's pretty damn easy. Many of the things that used to enthrall me don't entice me at all, because I know the inherent emptiness of it. Yeah. I'd rather be inherently empty and then be filled up by what's downloading instead of trying to fill myself up. This works better for me. Yeah, nicer way to go.